We're in a full-blown arms race in the world of cybersecurity. And by 2026, the entire game is going to look fundamentally different. You see, attackers are now weaponizing artificial intelligence, and it's forcing our defenses to evolve faster than ever before. So let's break down what that really means for you. So just so you know where all this is coming from, everything we're about to dive into is based on the 2026 Cybersecurity Threat and Software Vulnerability Analysis Report by NURICAPS over on YouTube. We've taken their incredible, in-depth research, and we're going to break down the key takeaways you absolutely need to know. All right, so here's the plan. First, we'll get a handle on just the sheer scale of the modern threat landscape. Then, we're going to get inside the attacker's head, look at their new AI-powered playbook, and dissect a real-world attack. But we're not going to leave you hanging. We'll wrap up with a solid plan for what you can do right now and how to build a truly resilient defense for the long haul. Okay, let's dive right in and set the stage. To really get what we're up against, you first have to appreciate the sheer scale of the problem, which honestly has hit a whole new level. Just try to wrap your head around this number. So far in 2026, we've already had 9,951 new software vulnerabilities officially registered. That's almost 10,000 brand new potential backdoors for attackers to sneak through, and we're not even done with the year yet. And it's not just about the sheer number of them, right? It's how dangerous they are. Take a look at this breakdown. When you add up the critical and high severity categories, you're looking at nearly 40% of all these new flaws posing a major, immediate risk. This isn't just background chatter. This is a constant alarm bell ringing. So, how do we measure all this danger? Well, there's a standard called CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System. It's basically a universal scale from 1 to 10. And here's the kicker. The average score for these new vulnerabilities has crept up to 6.84. That tells us something really important. The threats aren't just more common, they are, on average, becoming way more powerful. All right, so we've got more vulnerabilities, and they're getting nastier. But what are the attackers doing with them? This is where we look at their new playbook. And today, the ultimate game changer is, you guessed it, AI. Now, before we get to the AI part, there's a term you absolutely have to know, KV. That stands for Known Exploited Vulnerabilities. This is not some list of potential problems or theoretical weak spots. The KV catalog is a list of confirmed weapons, vulnerabilities that are being actively used by attackers out there in the real world, right now. These are the ones that need your immediate attention. So what's the real game changer here? What's pouring fuel on this fire? It's one thing, the weaponization of artificial intelligence. Attackers aren't just poking around manually anymore. They're using smart systems to do the heavy lifting for them, and they're doing it at a speed and scale we've just never had to deal with before. And this isn't science fiction. This is what's happening right now. They're using what are called intelligent agents, or IOA, to just automatically scan and attack our defenses. They're creating scarily realistic deepfakes for phishing attacks, making those scam calls sound exactly like your boss. AI can now spit out thousands of incredibly persuasive, personalized spear phishing emails in minutes. And then you've got this new risk called shadow AI. That's when your own employees use unauthorized AI tools and accidentally create new invisible backdoors into your network. And if you want to see just how big of a deal this is, look at this comparison. A classic old-school phishing attack used to take about 48 hours on average to trick someone and break in. With AI helping them out, that window shrinks to just 4 hours. That is 12 times faster, and it gives security teams almost no time to react. Okay, so theory is one thing, right? Let's make this real. We're going to walk through an actual attack campaign that's been nicknamed Operation News Exploit. So, the attackers honed in on a very specific weak spot. Their weapon of choice was CVE 2026-2159, unknown critical vulnerability right inside Microsoft Office. This was their key to unlock the front door. Okay, let's trace the path of this attack step by step. First, it starts, as it so often does, with a targeted phishing email carrying a weaponized Office doc. As soon as the victim opens it, it cleverly uses a protocol called WebDAV to slip past normal security checks. Then, a malicious macro hidden inside the document runs. That macro reaches out to an attacker's server and downloads the real payload, a nasty file called coreshell.dll. And once that's running, it's game over. The attacker has full remote control. All right, for all the security folks watching, these are the breadcrumbs you're looking for, the indicators of compromise, or IOCs. The malicious files were often disguised with names like bulletin_k.doc or conversation_topics_Ukraine_final.doc. We already mentioned the payload, coreshell.dll, and it leaves behind a very specific signature in the system registry, this key right here. And on the network side of things, here's what to hunt for. The infected computer would call home to a command and control server at the IP address 23.227.202.14. And the whole phishing campaign seems to be tied to this email address, walnutscar@med.com. These are the tracks they leave behind. Okay, that was a lot, I know. We've seen the threat, we've seen how it works. So the big question is, what do we do about it? Let's talk defense, starting with what you need to do right now. This is your priority list. This is what you need to be doing immediately. First, patch all those known exploited vulnerabilities, the KEVs, within 2 weeks. That means CVE 2026-21509, which we just talked about, but also others like CVE 2026-2485 and CVE 2026-2012-7. Next, go through and deal with any other vulnerabilities that have a high CVSS score. Third, lock down your logins. Implement strong, phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication, specifically something like FIDO2. And finally, you gotta be proactive. Constantly monitor public data breach logs to see if any of your company credentials have leaked out. But look, patching is just putting out fires. It's crucial, don't get me wrong, but it's not a long-term strategy. To actually survive in this new AI-driven landscape, we have to fundamentally shift how we think about security. The first big mindset shift is something called CTEM, or Continuous Threat Exposure Management. This isn't about sitting around and waiting for an alarm to go off. It's about being proactive. Think of it like this. Instead of just locking your doors, you're constantly walking around your house thinking like a burglar and fixing every loose window and weak lock you find before they even try to get in. Next up is something that's been around forever but is more important than ever. PLLP, or the principle of least privilege. The idea is so simple yet so powerful. Give people and programs only the keys they absolutely need to do their job and nothing more. This one simple rule can dramatically shrink the amount of damage an attacker can do if they do manage to get inside. And finally, this brings us to ZTNA, or Zero Trust Network Access. The old idea of having a strong castle wall to protect everything inside, that's over. Zero Trust works on one powerful rule: never trust, always verify. It doesn't matter if you're inside the office or outside, every single attempt to access anything has to be checked and proven to be legitimate every single time. So when you put it all together, it really boils down to this one question. The attackers are using artificial intelligence to make their attacks faster, smarter, and more effective. We just can't keep trying to fight back with old, slow, manual defenses. So you have to take a hard look at your own strategy and ask yourself, is it really smart enough for the fight that's coming? Look, this stuff changes fast. If breaking down this 2026 forecast was helpful for you, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and give this a like. Your support is what allows us to keep digging into these topics and bring you the information you need. Thanks for watching.